Now look, you can get a spring trend report anywhere. So easy to just get a long list of all the things that are trending this spring. But today I want to do something more than that for you. I want to provide you with my curated list of the best spring 2026 fashion trends for women over 50. These are the trends that you're going to love incorporating into your wardrobe and into your looks this spring. They'll be easy for you to wear, easy for you to feel great and confident in. So without further ado, let's check out the spring 2026 fashion trends that you are going to love wearing. Hello and welcome to today's video. My name is Kay and this is Dress for My Day. You know, I really do cater to the woman over 50. Now, if you're under 50, you are so welcome here, absolutely. And I don't believe that fashion has an age limit or a divider, but I am speaking to mostly women my age and around my age. I'm almost 62. In fact, maybe, let's see, I think I turned 62 since I taped this. So if you're over 50, you know that sometimes it is a little bit of a conundrum to stay fashionable, stylish, to feel our best, but also to look modern, to look relevant and current. And that is the goal, because I'm a firm believer that when we look modern, when we look up to date, we actually look more vibrant, we look more confident, and yes, we even look a little youthful that way. So staying current really is important. So today we're going to talk about some of the trends, but in broad strokes. That's the way I like to tackle this topic. Not necessarily hitting all the little things that you may see in the store. I want us to take a step back and see the big picture. Like, why are these things on trend? Why are we seeing so many of these particular things in the stores and on the trend reports? I want you to know the why behind the what. Also, remember, as usual with a trend report, this is for fun. This is not to be taken too seriously. Ultimately, you need to wear what you feel confident wearing. Wear what you love, wear what you feel like expresses you and tells your story. So pick a few of these that really resonate with you and think about how you can incorporate them into your wardrobe and into your daily looks. You know, that's where the rubber meets the road, ladies, is in our daily looks. We don't want to just bring a few trendy things into our closet. We want to make sure that they are pieces or ideas or styling hacks that really resonate with our personal style, that will give us joy as we wear them. And so therefore we'll look authentic as well as modern and stylish. The first trend that I'd like to share with you for spring 2026 is tailored and relaxed. Yeah, like I said, big pictures here. We're going to be seeing a lot of fashions and a lot of outfits that combine a beautiful selection of tailoring and relaxed pieces and silhouettes. Sometimes that will happen in one piece. For instance, you may have a tailored blazer with a relaxed fit. You might wear a tailored trouser, but in a more relaxed straight leg silhouette. You might wear a tailored shirt dress, but of course it has a relaxed vibe. It's easy and breezy. Also, though, sometimes you're going to see the combination of those in, throughout the outfit, carried throughout. So you might wear, once again, a tailored button-up shirt, but with a pair of very relaxed, trouser, pants, or jeans. You could wear that tailored blazer, but with a pair of relaxed, flowy linen pants. So we're combining those two beautiful elements, tailoring and relaxation in our outfits and in those individual pieces. Sometimes the relaxed part of that combination comes in the fabric. It might be very flowy or full, have a lot of body to it and a beautiful hand. Maybe it's a super soft fabric like a satin or a really sumptuous soft linen. On the other hand, maybe we're seeing a structured fabric like a piqué, but in a more relaxed piece like a beautiful skirt. So just think about how you might do that with your own closet even right now. You probably have pieces already that represent that really tailored aesthetic And you also probably have pieces that are very soft or very relaxed, or maybe even just a little very casually relaxed. Think about how you can combine those in outfits to look really on trend in 2026. Another trend that we're going to see in spring 2026 is what I'm calling one statement dressing. But one of the predominant trends that we're seeing when it comes to styling outfits for spring is having one statement piece and letting everything else frame it beautifully. Now, honestly, that's a great style system anytime. I mean, probably we've all heard that you should have one statement piece and everything else should kind of support that. But the truth is, a lot of times we don't necessarily style our outfits that way. We get into the habit of having 2 or 3 statement pieces. You know, we just bring on lots of things, maybe some bold earrings, but also some bold, detailing in your shirt or your dress, or also some shoes that have some pattern on them. And all of those things are in style, but this year, probably more than recent years, there's really going to be an emphasis on having just one thing in your outfit be that statement piece, taking center stage. And then intentionally, very calculated way, letting everything else be a soft, subtle supporting player. So when we're talking one statement dressing, we're talking things like wearing a beautiful silk scarf, but letting that silk scarf carry the day. Wearing maybe just a solid colored button-up shirt, or a muted tone, solid colored sweater or a knit top, and then a pair of basic jeans, letting that scarf just really be the statement. So think about your own wardrobe, the outfits you've been putting together, and what little tweaks you might want to make to those to have just one statement piece in your outfit. The reason I think that particular trend will really resonate with women over 50 is because we know how to have one statement. We probably have some great statement pieces in our closet, in our accessory wardrobe as well. And so it's a great time to use those pieces, but we also probably have some basic essentials, like just a pared back looking blazer, maybe in a white or ecru, or a denim jacket, or just some really nice classic denim jeans that aren't overly, decorated or embellished. A lot of us know how to add a little subtlety to our outfits, and that's going to be the key for wearing one statement dressing. A third trend for spring 2026 that I'm really excited about and I think might really resonate with so many of my viewers is elevated sport. You have to think about so many of the fashion trends that we are seeing this year and even on the horizon. They really do kind of have come from a trajectory from that year, 2020. When the world just completely changed. It's like we were just kind of moving along on a certain trajectory. We hit that year. We literally came to a halt. Everything took a deep turn, and since that time, things have just been different in every area of life, right? Well, including fashion. And so from that year, if you'll remember, we turned to a lot of leisure wear and then athleisure wear and active wear. And one of the predominant things that we decided about clothing is that it should be comfortable. And guess what? Since that time, we're 6 years down the road, things have evolved. We have decided that we want to get dressed again. We don't want to sit around in leisure wear or lounge wear all the time. We do want to put in a little polish, put in a little bit more effort, but it has stuck with us that we want things to be comfortable. So that's really another trend that we are seeing in 2026 is you want your outfit to look like it is comfortable. Anything that even appears to be uncomfortable or fussy or just have too much going on to the point that it feels contrived, it feels too done up, it feels uncomfortable, is not going to look current. At the same time, like I said, we do want to kind of put in the effort and get dressed. So one of the trends that we are seeing, just kind of circling back around, really take over in 2026 is this elevated athleisure wear or elevated sport even. A few weeks ago, I did a video on a great trend to invest in even now or even then, and that is that track stripe along the side of pants, along the side of your track pants, your joggers, things like that. And I was right. It is really prevailing. Every retailer I know, every brand I know, has a pair of those wide leg track pants with the side stripe on them. They are just really huge, and that is part of that elevated sport look. Also leaning into that are things like sporty jackets, even like nylon sporty jackets, track jackets, things like that, but worn in a very elevated way, like paired with a pair of, nice trousers, paired with a skirt. I'm even seeing these track stripe skirts, in fact. So really like bringing it around to where, you're not necessarily dressing up for a dressy occasion, but like just everyday wear that's a little bit more elevated, but it is sporty. And of course, right now we're continuing to see that sneakers just continue to prevail. They're acceptable to wear with dresses and skirts, as well as pants and shorts and jeans. And the sneaker that's really on style for 2026 is that slimmer sneaker with that low profile. Think kind of like a track sneaker or a field soccer sneaker or something like that. You're going to see so many of them. We have kind of seen a departure from the big bold colors of last spring and summer and fall. And now we're seeing more subdued colors, more neutrals, not really a white, but more like cream and beige and taupe. Blended in with some pastels perhaps. So all of those things contribute to the elevated sport look. We're talking about combining that dressiness with that active or elevated sport piece. And I think that will really resonate with women over 50, especially those of us who are grandmas. Maybe you're spending a lot of time with those grandkids. You're taking them to the park. You're going to their soccer games, their t-ball games, those sorts of things. So it's fun to look a little sporty, but in your elevated, stylish way. So let me know in the comments below if that resonates with you and how you'll be carrying that out in your spring outfits. The next trend is one I've slightly alluded to, and that is scarves at center stage. So yes, scarves are a really huge accessory for this spring. In fact, I would say that those and belts are right up there with the accessory of the moment. Maybe scarves are even inching ahead of belts right now. They're just going to be beautiful, and it's time to bring out your best scarves and wear them, and maybe invest in a new one or two if you'd like to. And really, the sky is the limit. We're going all the way from cotton bandanas and silky bandana style scarves to the larger 90 centimeter scarves or 36-inch about scarves. Square, tied over, looped over, all the things you can do. I'll try to provide another scarf tying video soon, at least as a short or something with some new ideas. But those scarves are definitely taking center stage. Now, if you do decide to wear a scarf, you really do, once again, want to let it be that one highlighted piece, that one statement piece. So wear it on a backdrop of a pretty cashmere sweater or a button-up shirt and some jeans or trousers. Go simple. Remember to frame that one statement piece and let it shine. If you don't prefer to wear scarves around your neck, you can also tie them to the handle of your little handle bag, your shoulder bag, or your satchel, and that's a great stylish way to wear a scarf, as well as in your hair if that works for you. So many great ways to wear scarves, and they are very on trend for spring 2026. The next trend that I think you might be interested in, this one's kind of iffy. I know that women do tend to have kind of polarizing ideas about this one, but it is utility dressing. And we've seen this trend weave in and out of style over the last several years. And utility dressing tends to boil down to some extraneous pockets, maybe some hardware on your jackets or your jeans or your pants, just those extra little loops, you know, so to speak, where you would hang a hammer if you had one, but you don't. You're not actually going to wear them to work. It's just that kind of dressing where it does kind of lean into the worker, a uniform kind of look, a worker look, just that construction worker kind of thing or whatever. Just those bells and whistles on your jackets, on your pants, and even on dresses, of course. That is going to be very on style this year. Once again, just leaning into the aesthetics that I've already mentioned. I would keep that kind of pared back. If you wear a utility type jacket, and that does include things like a barn jacket or a field jacket, then I wouldn't wear that trend anywhere else in my outfit. So I wouldn't wear like painter pants, you know, with a field jacket. I would just let one of those things be the utility type thing. But you will see utility pants like painter pants and things like that as well. And you'll also see those utility features on dresses this spring. So let me know in the comments if that's something that interests you or if you'll pass on that one. The next spring trend for 2026 that I think might be interesting to many of you is fluid and flowy. So really this has also been coined as modern femininity instead of a lot of ruffles and lace, although I am seeing ruffles and lace too. But when we're talking flowy and fluid or fluid and flowy, what we're really talking about is fabrics with a lot of movement. So pieces, whether that be a jacket, a top, a dress, a skirt, that has some movement in the fabric, that maybe has a little bit more fabric than necessary. So it adds a beautiful drape. It just flows as you move. It seems very fluid. The fabric itself is lovely. It has maybe some curves and some drapes, maybe it's cut on the bias, you know, a skirt that's cut on the bias, so it really just swirls around you as you walk. We're talking also things about wearing that large scarf or even a shawl draped around your shoulders, tied in such a way as to give your shirt, your top area, a little bit more fluidity. I also think of brands such as Eileen Fisher, that their pieces, of course, just always have a lot of flow and fluid to them. I think that brand is really going to be highlighted this year because they just really lend into that. So kind of think about Eileen Fisher. I'm going to show you a few pieces here, and you can really see what I'm talking about when I say that if you're going to wear the fluid and flowy trend, then fit is key. Now, her pieces do tend to be a little oversized, and I actually always size down to a small in her pieces instead of wearing my usual medium because I do want them to fit. So you want these pieces to fit, but you also still want there to be some movement in them. So that is going to be key. And I see things in this particular category, though, being things like some pretty chiffon or, like I said, a linen with a really beautiful drape, a nice hand to it. Maybe even satin. We are still seeing satin pants and satin skirts. So those would be a part of it. Silk blouses, a beautiful, slightly oversized silk blouse. So again, you might be looking for a piece that is cut to look a little oversized, has extra fabric, a little more than usual, but the fit is going to need to be good. Let me know what you think about fluid and flowy, and if that is something that you will be leaning into this spring. The next trend is one that I've also already alluded to, and that is what I'm calling just jeans. And by that, I mean not that you're going to wear just jeans, but that you're going to let your jeans be just jeans. Remember, we're talking about letting those jeans back up a little bit, step back, and not be center stage, but instead frame the rest of your outfit. So be the frame for that beautiful silk scarf. Be the frame for a flowy top, maybe with a little extra volume in it. Be the frame for a tailored but relaxed button-up shirt. So wearing really jeans that are minimally, if at all, distressed or faded, have minimal and strategic whiskering, no holes in them and things like that, and no embellishments or details. Now, look, if you still love your jeans with detailing and embellishments, then for that, I would say go back to that one statement piece dressing, and remember that those embellished jeans, those jeans with some embroidery on them perhaps, or some kind of, just nuanced feature on them, that needs to be the star of the show, and then frame those jeans with something more subtle and more pared back. But really, this just jeans trend is just definitely going to prevail, I think, throughout 2026. So I guess the buy-in for that would be to make sure that you have some jeans in your closet that have no to minimal distressing, no major fading. They're a classic mid-wash or classic dark wash, and they're just really that classic straight leg or a slightly wide leg silhouette. Now here's another interesting trend that actually two trends I guess, but I'm grouping them together. And that is that we are going to see a continuation of brown and suede into spring, and I predict even summer. We saw a good bit of suede last spring and summer, and brown was beginning to really take off about this time last year, but I think most of us were still thinking brown is for fall and winter. And we have definitely enjoyed wearing brown this fall and winter. Raise your hand in the comments if you have. I certainly have. The good news is that brown and suede, two different things, but sometimes combined into one, are both definitely continuing to be wearable into spring and summer. So yeah, you are going to still see a lot of suede in the shoes and the handbags and belts, even into the spring and summer. And in fact, you're going to still see suede jackets and perhaps other garments too be very popular into spring and summer. So I know these are two different things and I'm kind of smushed them together, but the key is to pair those pieces that we would kind of think normally as winter, whether it's brown or suede or a combination of the both. You want to really pair them intentionally with some lighter, more spring-like and summer-like pieces. So think of wearing that chocolate or espresso brown with a pretty icy, cool blue, or with that pretty frosty pink. I just think that is going to be so lovely. You can also wear suede with your linen pieces, with your cotton pieces, or with those fluid, flowy pieces. That can just be a great way to accent and bring in some texture. So continuing to wear suede, continuing to wear brown into the spring and summer. Let me know, are you excited about that, or are you ready to put those things to bed for a little while until maybe like next fall? Another trend that I think really might resonate with my viewers over 50 is beautiful knitwear. So when we're talking knitwear, we are talking things like sweaters, whether they be cotton or cashmere or even linen or a blend of those, it may be even blended with silk. But we're also talking even just t-shirts or, tops like that are knit together from a beautiful cotton or a beautiful linen. And we're talking dresses and skirts. So all kinds of knitwear. So think about, though, really luxurious types pieces. And maybe they have some fluidity, they have some flow, they have some movement in them. Maybe they're draped in a beautiful way. Maybe they're draped across your shoulder and off one shoulder. but just beautiful knitwear, often I would say mostly in a solid, but with some pretty details too. So for instance, I actually recently purchased this beautiful sweater from J. McLaughlin. You'll see that it's just a beautiful lightweight cashmere sweater, but with a really pretty detail in the knit. So that's what we're talking about, and you are going to see several other examples here of just very detailed, luxurious looking knitwear. So with some pretty detailing around maybe the cuffs or the neckline or woven into the fabric itself. Of course, we're also talking about those colors being really rich and pretty. And I think the key to this is just to choose those colors that really highlight you well and really set your coloring off beautifully. And then, of course, once again, these beautiful knits need to fit you nicely. You don't want them to be just hanging off of your body, then they're not as beautiful. These beautiful, luxurious, rich knits need to drape your body and frame your body and really set you off. I just have 2 more trends to share, and these are some fun ones, so don't go anywhere. But I did want to remind you that if you have not yet subscribed to my channel, please go ahead and do that right now. You can do it while you're watching right now. And later, after we are wrapped things up here, be sure to share this video. You can share it on Facebook. You can send a link to it to a friend through an email or a text. So many great ways to get the word out and share my channel with other people. I sure would appreciate it. Thanks so much. The next trend that I think would really resonate with women over 50 is, trench coats. That classic spring jacket is continuing to trend. This year, what's really on trend, I actually kind of getting mixed reports. I hear that cropped length jackets are really on trend, and I certainly see a lot of them. I have shown some of them here. I have some myself. I am loving the little cropped length trench jackets. I'm going to give you a couple here that I can highly recommend because I've tried them and I love them. So a cropped length and that kind of like a flowy feel, not belted, but just a little bit more trapeze. Those are very much on trend. But at the same time, I recently heard a trend report from France and Paris and what they were wearing there. And they were saying that the longer flowy, unbelted trench coats are really on trend there. And I do have one of those also that I highly recommend. I've worn it recently. It's from Saison. It is a beautiful classic trench coat. I got so many compliments the day I wore it. And I will say it does have that fluid, flowy look to it. You know, maybe you're seeing how so many of these trends that I mentioned, they intersect and they ride off of each other. And really, that's why I wanted to approach this trend report the way I did, was so that you'd get the why, not just the what. And so as you're making choices for your wardrobe and for your outfits, you can calculate these things and decide, where you want to give and take a little bit. And our final trend that I want to mention, actually kind of 2 parts also. First, I just wanted to talk about color blocking. It is going to be really huge this year, but also color play. So let's talk about those kind of separately. Color blocking, of course, is going to be when you put your outfit together and maybe you wear like a pair of white pants, a pretty cobalt blue sweater, and then over that you put your khaki colored trench coat, and you've blocked your color, right? You've got 3 different colors going on there, but in 3 very different places. You haven't mixed them together. You're not wearing a red belt on there or some red. You blocked your colors off, and that is going to be very popular. And not just, like I said, neutrals and a color, but even color on color. So color play is going to be popular in that we are going to be combining some new color combinations. And for instance, one of the color combinations I'm hearing a lot about are kind of a chartreuse limey green and that beautiful cobalt blue put together. Just really stunning. That could just look so sharp. Another color combination I'm hearing about are that icy soft pink worn with the fiery red that is on the horizon for the season as well. So just thinking about ways that you could put some of these colors together that we are seeing and play with them and just have a good time with them. Color is definitely going to prevail. It always does during the spring and summer. We just really want to add color to our outfits. And one of the reasons that I think color blocking specifically is really smart for women over 50 is that a lot of us do like to add color to our outfits. We love to wear some color. It certainly brightens up our personal coloring a little bit. It is a good idea. But I think a lot of times women, older women, more mature women, we lean into prints to do that. But a print it'll date itself quickly. A print is going to look more dated more quickly. Doesn't mean that you can't wear prints. Hear me on that. I actually like prints. I wear them. I think they're fine. But the prints that I add to my closet, I realize that maybe in another year or 2 or 3, it's going to look very dated. Prints just date themselves faster than things like solids or the more conservative prints like a stripe or a polka dot or maybe a plaid. But just, flowery prints and geometrics and all, they will look dated faster. So if you want to add some color to your outfit, I really encourage you to consider color blocking, because first of all, those pieces will not look dated, in another year or 2. And then secondly, you will look very on trend for spring 2026. So that is my spring trend report, a little different maybe than other trend reports you have heard, not just naming little specific things. I wanted you to get the big picture. Let me know in the comments below if that was helpful to kind of take a step back and get the big picture on these trends and kind of the trajectory of where we're going. Remember, trends are not in a vacuum. They come from our culture. They come from the things that we are wanting to do, the direction that we're going in, and they evolve. And so some trends have longer sticking power than others. And you only have to wear the ones that you enjoy wearing and that resonate with you. And then you can just politely leave the others alone. There are trends I even mentioned today that I won't be participating in, but that doesn't mean that I think they're bad or ugly or anything like that. It just means they're not for me and my personal style. So I would love to hear from you in the comments below. It's always fun to talk about trends with you, and I look forward to seeing you again next Wednesday. I will see you then. Bye now.